Okay, 1:30. Public Works. Mike, I'll just let you, or whoever you want to start off.
Great, thank you. Mike Moss, Public Services Director. We're going to start off today with a landfill after hours event, and this is not like a chamber after hours banquet or anything.
The chamber's coming out
Yeah.
there?
We had a fire. We had an incident last Friday, which I
Oh.
gave you all a picture of. This is actually the first time we actually utilized one of our camera systems. This is from Pano. We have cameras throughout Davis Peak, here at the landfill, and also Signal Peak, which picks up any smoke throughout the valleys and will send out messages, not just to us, but also Cowlitz 911. This one went to Fire District 6, DNR, Warehouser, and of course our team. We all opened the alert, saw that this alert was actually at the landfill. And so that was at 9 o'clock on Friday evening. When we get this image on our phones, you can pan in and out, zoom in, move the camera around. So it's a great resource for us. As you can see, the smoke was coming right behind the timber line there. It was right on the 1600, but it was in the fill itself, right by the road. So Cowlitz 6 dispatched their tenders up there. And the other picture I sent you or gave you is this a water truck. This is not the exact water truck we have, but very similar that we bought last year for the landfill with pretty much the same nozzle system. So we were able to shoot the cannon from inside the vehicle and was able to help extinguish the fire along with Cowlitz 6. So by the time I got up there, which was like 9:25, the fire was out and just smoldering, and we had about 3 people from the landfill, plus, like I said, Cowlitz 6 was out on site. So it was a great tool for us. It was great to see it in action. We get panel alerts on our phone daily because anybody starts a fire in their backyard, the smoke comes up in the valley, it goes off on our phone. So today I've already got 3 alerts on my phone. So every time you get one, you kind of got to look at it because you don't know if it's somebody else, or it's actually at the landfill. So you get them from any time of the day and night. We had one go off a weekend before at 1:30 in the morning. It was actually someone setting a fire, it must be a backyard fire off Streeter Road. So it came up and it showed landfill camera, 1:30 in the morning. So it kind of really wakes you up and you see that thinking, oh, geez, it could be at the landfill, but it still just picked up anything in the valley. So it's great, not just for our purposes at the landfill, but with all the other agencies and DNR picking up on the same alerts. It helps everybody in the community. This particular fire, as you can see how low it was, it's great that we were able to get there in time because it was right by timber. That's Warehouser land right below the 2 orange marks on there. So it was probably only 50 yards away from timber. So if we did have a fairly large event or wind picked up and maybe took some embers across the street, you could have actually had a large event at that point. So we pay about $40,000. We do pay $40,000 a year for this service. They own the cameras, but we pay for the service. It's a 5-year deal. We're in year 1 of that. So there's no CPIs in that. So it's 40 grand a year for the next 5 years, but it's well worth it. Our last event at the landfill was in 2024 when we burnt a few acres of tarp. It's about a $150,000 event. So, and that fire was actually called in by someone who saw it first. This fire was on the back side of the fill. So if you're over across the lake, you would not have seen this till it's actually got really large. It was really hid back behind there. So without this camera system in place, who knows how big this fire would have got before we would have been alerted. So money well spent. So thank you for your assistance over the years, because it's you guys that helped us get to this point with saying yes to getting these camera systems in place. So well worth it.
Cool.
I also wanted to make a couple just positive additions to what Mike said. We're also able to share this with our community partners at no cost. So that is a county, it benefits us because Cowlitz 6 got that notification. We didn't have to call them and they responded right away. Again, DEM, 911, Sheriff's Office, they're all able to use this because of that $40,000 agreement. So it's really beneficial to all of our neighbors too.
Batteries again.
Probably lithium batteries.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very common for us. And it's not uncommon for us to have fires. I'm sure we probably had 1 or 2 fires today during the business hours. It's quite common for us to have a fire during business hours when we're there. That's why it's really important for us to be able to monitor after hours. And the next thing we're purchasing is the Movie Therm, which is a trailer mounted thermal imaging system that'll be able to monitor the site also.
And that Movie Therm actually has an in-house monitoring. So it's not like, oh, we see it or Cowlitz 6 sees it. They actually monitor it for us on the fill, so that we can get more real-time alerts. And they get called out as well. So,
After hours, that's behind the block gate,
Yes,
mhm.
and so just fire, they have a key to it.
yes, they do.
Mhm.
Yep, yep. And Weyerhaeuser has the same, of course. It's through a Weyerhaeuser gate, so they have access. DNR has access, Cowlitz 6, and of course, our staff. And we have staff fairly
Active key or
close.
The key box that all can access.
No, this is I think they have the ones that have like 3 or 4 different,
Oh, I
use
got
like a recreational gate access.
Good to see it working.
Yeah, thank you. So do we. Should be fire. That one.
Okay, and so juvenile, we have a fire panel that was out of compliance. Because it's a 24-hour staff location, it can be out of compliance with still being considered safe because it's monitored 24/7. But we worked at getting this replaced so that we would be in better standings for emergency response. And so we did go out and get 3 bids. We went with the low bid, which is actually Point Monitor, pretty well-known business around here. Anyway, as they were going through the system and replacing the fire panel, they also noted once the fire panel was up and running that we have several smoke detectors that are no longer functioning. So they did put forward a change order for the replacement of those smoke detectors. And this is not in front of me, sorry. It was $5,470. Which is about 10% of the actual original bid. So because of that, we wanted to come back to the board and get approval to be able to proceed with this change order to replace those smoke detectors. We didn't bid it with the original project because we weren't aware that they were not functioning because the system was not functioning at that time. So as we get this online and replaced, now we're finding that the smoke detectors are bad. We did ask Point Monitor to make sure that everything was vetted and checked because we don't want to come back with another change order. And so they did review the system and ensured that this is the only thing that needs fixed was those smoke detectors. So we are asking for board approval on that today for the $5,470 change order.
Just as general knowledge for myself, because I'm still learning a lot of this stuff. If the change order is, if the bill is less than 50,000, do you have to go through our approval?
So for this one, we did do the 3 bids because if we assume that the bid's going to be less than 40,000, like we have a ballpark idea that we think it is. This one, we didn't think it was. So we went out for the 3 bids, we got the 3 bids. And so because it's over that, but we did the bid process, we were okay to move forward in signing that. Change orders, the previous board put in place a requirement, I'll say, to get approval for change orders because we were experiencing a lot of change order fatigue and contractors during COVID, it was happening a lot. Prices were just, constantly rising. So anyway, it's kind of our best practice that if the change order is at least, 10% or more of the total contract price, we come back. This one's low, it's 5,000. Normally we could say, well, we'll go forward, but it isn't our purchasing policy and best practice to come for approval.
And a lot of our contracts are wrote in there if it's less than 10% or a certain dollar amount that the director or designee can sign the change order.
I don't have any problem with it. We're good.
Thank you.
And I believe we're going, and if you don't have any other questions on that, we'll move forward with the park fees. And we're calling this a draft. So we're here today to really gauge the temperature of the board on whether or not you guys would like us to move forward with looking into some fee increases at our parks. And just to clarify, this is for overnight camping at Harry Gardner, and then only pavilion and picnic table rentals at Riverside. So general use of our parks is, of course, always free. A couple years ago, just a little bit of history, we had members of the community actually requesting that we put in picnic table rentals and pavilion rentals at Riverside because it was causing them such grief to try to get there at 4 o'clock in the morning and make the reservation and then to have someone come take it. So it was actually more of a peace of mind that people were willing to pay. And that's why we started doing that. Looking at the budget moving forward, knowing that parks is a general fund, we were trying to see what our comparables were compared to other parks in our area. We're still by far the lowest, and even with some of these proposed rates, we're still the lowest. I think with the exception of $1 at Silver Lake Resort for a tent site. But for the most part, we're still going to be lower. This did go through the park board. We vetted it through them. They did approve it. If the board is willing to consider some fee increases. And so that's kind of where we're at. Another thing I'd like to note is that we currently, we being the county, pay for credit card transaction fees. And we would like to, especially for Parks and General Fund, get away from eating that cost just for processing credit cards. And so that is another piece of this. We would like to pass the credit card fee on to the purchaser. Because we do offer in-person payments still. We take cash on site. So that is that option. We actually take reservations also in office. But I understand, using a debit and credit card is just, that's what people are used to. It's just that we're paying for that processing. So today, I really just wanted to kind of put the information in front of the board, have a little bit of a discussion, not seeking approval on anything. Just kind of seeing where you guys are at.
How many credit card transactions do you see in a year?
Gosh, great question. I can get back to you on that. That's a good discussion item. A majority of our reservations are made online. That's just the nature of today's business. So I can find that out.
How many reservations do we see at these parks for these pavilions?
Can you say the last part of that?
How many different reservations do we see at these parks for these different pavilions a year?
I can give you actual detailed information on that, but as far as the pavilion rentals, Riverside is by far rented the most. Harry Gardner's normally only rented if they're having family events, reunions, class events, but Riverside Park is definitely the #1 reserved one for whatever reasons. But I can email that to you guys as well.
Yeah, percentage wise, it's pretty healthy increases. And when it came from the park board, that's why we figured we better come to you guys today to at least have that initial conversation. I don't know, since like Savannah said, these initially put in place, I don't think they've been raised since that time.
No.
I can't remember how many years ago that was.
2019 for Harry Gardner Park, and we could actually not find the information for how long they've been at Riverside at that cost. That's how long it's been.
Wow.
This non-refundable, I'm seeing on a couple, I don't,
Yeah, so
why do you not have it on the others? I'm assuming that some people make and they don't show up. Is that the thing?
that's correct. So right now, we don't have any cancellation fee. We actually let people, so if you and your family had reserved it at Labor Day weekend and then decided we have other plans, you could actually move that reservation within the rolling year, which causes a lot of grief as far as bookkeeping and keeping our calendar up to date. And so what we thought to do is that's fine. You just have that $5 kind of fee attached if you were to cancel and re-reserve. But again, yeah, the obvious one is like you reserve, you get a refund and 2 days prior, and now we can't rent that out anymore. At least we would get something out of it.
Yeah, so I'm wondering why not on the Riverside? Do you view the sites in the pavilion as different than the RV sites and the tent sites?
Yeah, so mainly because they're the overnight sites. Now, if it's first come, first serve at Riverside and somebody canceled the reservation, that's fine. It's mainly, it was a benefit to the residents to be able to reserve it. The overnight camping is a little bit different where we have, strings attached to that where we can't usually rebook it.
And it sounded like there wasn't that much movement at the pavilion and Riverside compared to the tent and RV sites at Harry Gardner.
It's constant.
Pretty constant, yeah.
On Riverside for the baseball complex and stuff, is that a contract with somebody that does that?
Yeah, that's the Lower Columbia Devils fast pitch.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Girls
Mhm.
I
softball.
think they have one more year on contract.
And we've heard really positive things about them and their upkeep of that area.
They do a good job.
They do.
They do.
Yeah.
So.
So is that like, when that's up, do they have options to renew or does it go to an RFP, or if they're doing a good job, do we just?
I think
Say,
there's
hey.
renewables. I don't think there's any more on there, so I think it's probably go
Check.
back out. I think that we really didn't really go out last. I think last time there was really no interest. The Kelso Little League or Kelso Cal Ripken was using the fields. They backed away and was only using Tam O'Shannon area.
Yeah.
And so those fields just kind of died off and became overgrown and
Then
pretty bad
this
shape.
group
And
came-
this group
came-
came forward saying, hey, we need a space for softball practice and games. And so they stepped up and wanted to renovate the fields as long as they got, first priority to use those fields.
Yeah, which I think is great.
Yeah, so I don't
Do
know,
they
going
take
out
care
to
of it
bid.
stuff, or does our staff have to go in and mow and stuff, or are they kind of?
Fields is primarily them, but I believe sorry.
Yeah, we do mow.
We
That's-
mow the grass, but as far as the field maintenance and the dirt, is
all
all
them.
them. We actually recently just got approached to have a roofing company, local roofing company, donate a brand new roof to the clubhouse. And we're kind of trying to work through the legalities and red tape on that, but hopefully we'll get there. So that's great. It's somebody associated with the Fast Pitch group.
Yeah, unfortunately with the fields as they are, if we go out, there's probably gonna be a lot of people saying, hey, I want to step up and use those fields. And so it might be a challenging.
That's a little bit to the question. If you got somebody that's doing a very, very good job and taking care of, what's the incentive to open it up to somebody you don't know?
Correct.
Yeah, that's something we could pursue too with Doug and see, that's a no cost right now. It's more in-kind labor, so that there's no cost associated with that.
Well, and if you look at it, I know that when Kelso and Babe Ruth and Cal Ripken had it, those fields were not anywhere near what they are right now.
Not at
I
all.
mean, they
Not even
look
close.
really good right now.
Yeah.
They do a good job.
Are these pavilions, like, are they posted somehow? It says reservation only?
They're not reservation only. So it's it's a free for all if it's not reserved. So it's not like you can't go there if you don't have a reservation. You can. It's just that if someone has a reservation, that is their guaranteed spot.
And there's a
So
spot
if
that
I
we,
show up, if I got a reservation, I show up, how do I prove I've got a reservation to the people who are there?
We post signs, and so our summer help in parks and our park staff actually go in the day before, the day of, post signs of the family that's reserved there. And then if there is issues, which it happens from time to time, they call our on-call parks person and they respond. But we have a reservation system. It's called ResNexus. But anyway, it provides all of this information and reporting, and we print signs out and post it so we have record. So to alleviate some of that.
but if you wanted to use the pavilion Tuesday afternoon today at 3 o'clock, chances are it's probably open and
You
it's
can.
not reserved and there's no sign up, you'd go ahead and use it for free.
Yeah. I don't have any trouble with what you're proposing here at all.
So like Tamo, if it's for 4 hours, $100 for 4 hours, is that I can say from 10 to 2, or I want 2 to 6?
So that is just the comparable parks. That's not one of our managed parks. We were just giving the board kind of an idea of where local parks are at in this scenario compared to us. So yeah, Tamo on that second page, those are all other park facilities and what they charge.
And I would say also, I think our prices are pretty reasonable because you can go to Tammo on the weekends and you can't find a spot.
Yeah.
Even with the prices that they got, there's
Yeah.
booked all the
Mhm.
time.
A couple just things I want to highlight before we move on, because I think it's important. These would be seasonal increases only. I should have started with that. So really looking at increasing these fees and keeping them in place from June 1 to August 31st. And trying to make sure that for what we would consider our regulars in the fall and winter months, that they're going back to that original rate, to hopefully keep some people there in the other months. So that's something we could just do year round, with the new rates, or we could look at more of a seasonal option too. We don't want to stop
Seasonally, That's when
people.
the highest demand on our people is going to be also. So
That
it
is
makes
correct.
sense.
Yeah. So that's one other thing. And then, sorry, I'm keep going. We did talk about the credit card fees, but we also had talked about, and this did not go through the park board, I believe. I wanted to see how you guys felt about it. We're having more and more vendors come in, vendors like Kona Ice and, food vendors, some of our events there for soccer and baseball. We currently require them to have our review of their insurance requirements, food handlers card, health, to make sure that they're providing safe services for those people there at the park, and also that they're insured. We don't charge anything for them being there. That is all, like, we need your stuff, we need to review it and make sure you're legit. But other locations have a special use permit fee, like, hey, if you want to be here and park here and use our stuff, our space, it's $50. Or it's, it's whatever that would be. We're still researching that. But that's also something we could look
Are they-
at.
Do they hook to our water, electricity that use our facilities?
Not where
Garbage?
they're currently being used, which is near the soccer fields. So that's where we're seeing the most use of vendors. They're lined up on the soccer fields on the weekends. But it's nice because then people can get food because there's no concession stand and, on a hot day. So,
You charge for them over at the event center.
okay.
Yeah.
That too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think that would be unreasonable.
No, good point. Yeah, thank
I think
you.
most of them expect it in most places. I think we're just the anomaly where we're not charging them.
Yeah, we're a little bit behind the times on that. So we'll work on this and do more of a formal presentation, and looking at some of these other items we talked about and come back.
We also break down the reservations by month
Yeah.
to see if it's viable to go seasonal or year round on those reservations.
Personal opinion on the seasonal fees, I'd just try to keep one fee and keep the bookwork.
It'd be easier.
It would be easier.
Okay.
If you started to get some screaming, we could look at that, but
Okay. Makes sense. And the next one's mine, miscellaneous. Commissioner Rader, you'd asked yesterday about the no parking zone on Clam River Road. Susan is out, but I did reach out to a couple of other staff members, and that is currently ready for review and approval by the county engineer to bring forward. So when she gets back here in the next couple weeks, you'll probably see that again.
So in that process, do we work with legal during that process or after it's been approved by the engineer?
I will say what we typically do is we work with legal throughout the process. And so I don't know where that's at with our engineering team, but I mean, on any vacation, no parking, yeah, we're always working with legal before it comes to like a public hearing.
you got a little bit of time, and I meant to, it's on my list to either call you or I had a request, I've had a request a couple of times about access to the river over the dike with steps or something for kayaks getting out. Have we ever looked at that, or is
Is that on
that?
the Cowlitz?
No, Riverside.
Oh, Riverside. Oh, okay. Cowlitz, I'm aware of the kayak.
I know
kayaking group.
there's something going on there,
Yeah.
but I see a lot of people, they'll like start at the boat ramp up in Castle Rock and they want a
Mhm.
place to get out
Get out.
without going through Horseshoe. I don't know if that gives us heartburn or not.
I just don't know because it's on the levee.
Yeah.
That would be our biggest hurdle, but maybe it's not at Riverside. Maybe it's at a part that's not.
Well, if you're in part of the park, you could probably find an RCO or something that would help you
Mhm.
that, but I get it. It'd be some coordination with the levy,
Yeah.
but I just had that posed to me a couple times. In fact, I just at the store the other day and somebody pulled me over.
Well, I like to kayak and that would be great. It's always a challenge to find out where you're going to go in and get out and try to do different areas. So, yeah, okay.
A quick update on chip seal, oil rock. We have finished the Kalama area 2 weeks ago. We're hoping to finish the Kelso roads this Thursday and then start in Castle Rock. Castle Rock has a lot of side roads. There's a lot of rock. If you drive up Spear Lake Highway by Drew's Grocery, that's where we stockpile a lot.
They were talking about chip seal last night at their meeting and I said, "Oh, well, that must be us coming
Yeah,
out to help."
It is. A lot of side roads up there, so that may be more like a 2.5 week issue or duration, because we also do a few roads in downtown Castle Rock. And then we'll finish off in Longview, Columbia Heights area with a lot of side roads there. So we're still hoping to get done by end of July, the first week in August, depending on weather. That's it from us, unless you have miscellaneous items for Public Works.
No?
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Hey, I do have a quick question. I was looking through a long list of PUD bills for multiple sites all over that the county has. Who approves those? Who reviews those?
So that depends on the location. Now, if it's a facilities managed PUD bill like this building, one of our account specialists would review that. Different locations, like say Tim's spot at Expo, facilities wouldn't have anything to do with that. That's her team. So it really just depends on the location, but our primary buildings, Hall of Justice, this building, I believe the jail, ran by facilities, we would be reviewing those.
Individual, okay.
And I'm usually the one that signed the final bill or payment.
Mhm.
Okay.
Do you have a specific question, or should we look at something?
Well, I'm just wondering, some of the bills for certain locations look to be pretty spendy on a monthly basis. I was just wondering if we ever do any type of efficiency audits or anything on those buildings.
Well, you know this, but the Hall of Justice is a really good example of really, really high utility bills. This
Yeah.
building is also very, very high for obvious reasons. But I think on the Hall of Justice, we've already saved from January to now compared to the years prior. I think it's like $50,000. That's how massive the power was there. This facility also has a boiler that draws a lot of energy. The Hall of Justice, I think had 2 or 3. So, I mean, if you can compare that. So, yes, it's looked at our larger buildings, but I would be honest and say, like, it's not audited to the level of energy efficiency at some of our other smaller
So-
locations.
50,000 since the first of the year?
Compared to prior years. Now, we've had
Yeah.
a better winter, you know what I mean? So it wasn't as cold this one. So there are some other factors, but those are primarily from the changes we made at that building.
Yeah. Well, even if you do that out and it's 80 to 100,000 a year, that's a pretty good bump to help you with the debt service or what we put in there, really.
Absolutely. And working with Sean in the beginning, we factor that in. We're also expecting a good rebate back from our large project from the PUD. So
Cool.
That seems to me like it's more than what we anticipated.
the energy savings is more than we anticipated because at the original start of the project, we also didn't incorporate some of the other changes we did, like lighting. We were only focusing on the heat, and then we added the electrical. And so the scope grew, but I think it benefited us over time as far as paying for itself, for sure.
That's good.
Once I get that PUD audit back on that building, though, they're still working on it with PUD. I can share that to the board and kind of give you better numbers.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Kelly, it looks like you're next, huh?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is our risk management performance presentation. Haven't been up here for a while, so we'll just review some stats. Ready for the slides? Oh. Is it the whiteboard, Kelly, or just start there? Okay.
Just grab the IT guy there.
Oh, do you want my glasses? Oh, okay. Start share. Okay. There we go. Okay. Here we go. So some old business, Cowlitz County is remaining with the WCRP for 2026, 2027. Our WCRP budget numbers should be finalized in October 2026 or shortly after our upcoming October 26 risk pool conference and shared with all needed parties. Risk management has also now moved to the board office space in room 305, so that's new as well. Incidences, reports and stats. Incident report summary, total incidents year to date, we have 51. Total incidents that result in a workers' comp claim are 13 for 2026 only. Total year-to-date non-county employee incidents, this means like citizens and people that visit our buildings, is 10. Any questions so far? Okay. Workers' compensation claims, stats, breakdowns. Total claims for year lost date for 2026 is 13 claims. Total of all open claims as of 6/22/2026 is 12. Total year-to-date closed claims, we've had 11 that have closed so far this year. Total paid out for all claims as of yesterday was $275,751.13. Total year-to-date accrued will be $558,122.68. Those are all because there's been an influx, obviously, of medical costs, physical therapy costs, things like that. That industry has obviously skyrocketed, so our costs have gone up substantially. Questions so far? Okay. Current open claims, we did a breakdown by department. For roads, we've got 2, Sheriff's Department, we've got 4, Coroners 2, Youth Services 1, Public Works 1, Parks and Rec 2, for a total of 12. The financial breakdowns are right to the side. It's got that $275,750, and then the bigger number of $558,000. We've had a couple claims that are part of that 12 that have been open for almost 2 years. 2 of them that have been open for going on 2 years, I don't see them closing anytime soon, just to ongoing things like physical therapy, maybe additional surgeries. So that's why that number will continue to grow.
And these are employee and non-employee claims that you're showing us right now.
Those are just employee claims.
How many people do we have in Parks and Rec?
How many claims
No, how many people do we have employed in that?
total? I don't know. Savannah, do you know how many people are employed? I'm so sorry to catch you
think
off
we have-
guard.
2.
Mm-hmm. It is, without going into too much detail. One is for an employee that's no longer with us, hasn't been with us for quite some time, and one is for an employee that's currently with us. So that's the breakdown. Any questions? Liability claims. Currently, as of yesterday, we have 17 liability claims. SAM claims, which are the sexual abuse claims, as of yesterday, we are now up to 7. We received a new claim as of yesterday. New claims during June so far, we are at 4. 3 we received yesterday. Claims closed year-to-date through May is 10. Claims that are in litigation, 16 for that rounded number of, or that total number of 17. Claims, costs that we've paid year-to-date are $95,815.46. Special projects?
Shelley, real quick,
Uh-huh.
just on that situation or the numbers that you just showed us. Have you heard anything from the risk pool with regards to what they're looking at doing with the SAM claims? Because the state just put out this week that their insurance fund is going to be insolvent at the rate that things are going.
Depleted, yeah. We spoke a little bit about this during one of our previous executive sessions about looking at potentially offering some settlements, but we're waiting to see, once we do our investigation on these claims, for legitimacy of the claims. So I think in some cases, the risk pool has found that the claims are not legitimate. They're doing interviews and investigations, and upon further investigation, the claimant doesn't want to move forward with the claim because then everything becomes purgeable if inaccurate. So I think the more they do interviews and investigation and the more granular they get on the claims will determine the outcome of those claims. But I believe at this time they are starting to look at what claims have legitimacy and do we make a offering to save the county money, all parties money for legal fees and all the things to reduce the expense on the expense side. But to my knowledge, we will be meeting with the risk pool next week to review all the claims. So I will ask them again that. But as of right now, with our 7 claims, they're really diving deep on the investigation side of things. More about the claimant, their history, backstory. Does it hold weight? Does it have merit? As well as the employees that worked for the county, doing some backstory history on those as well for the names that are named in the claim. Sometimes it's not always a former county employee. It's description of what that person looked like, what they think their name was. So that's been very challenging.
Yeah, the article said that at the state level alone, it's over $1 billion
Yeah,
in
Yeah.
claims that they've got.
yeah. I mean, the claims that that I've been seeing, their ask is astronomical. Like yesterday's claim, 50 million
Yeah.
in the ask. So
Maybe the state should consider tort reform.
yes, I would love tort reform. That would be very nice. So, and I think I updated you guys each individually, the commissioners, about the risk pool did hire someone to lobby for tort reform and it didn't get past the House. So.
I think Wasack was looking at doing that too, weren't they, Chairman?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if the state's looking at the numbers that you're reading, maybe that gives them a little incentive to,
It should give them incentive if the checkbook's blank, what are we going to do? So we definitely need
Yeah.
tort reform.
of course, in their view, their checkbook is ours. So
True.
anyway,
Any more questions? Special projects? So risk management, with the wonderful help of Kelly, clerk of the board, we've been working on getting a lot of our paper forms on Laserfish, so they're more digitized. Things like COI requests and approvals, incident and accident forms, and then our workers' compensation injury packets. So we've been very paper-driven in our department, so I love the fact that we're going paperless. Saves the county money, time, and it's very much more efficient on anyone who's completing a form. In-person CPR training, really excited that we've been offering a CPR class, one every quarter. It's scheduled with our security team that we've partnered with over at HOJ and some of our other buildings. It's Northwest Enforcements. They come out and put on a class once a quarter. It's available to 10 staff members per class. Our next scheduled CPR training is in 2 days on Thursday, June 25th from 1 to 4. And just email risk management. We've got 2 spots still available. So if anyone wants to be recertified or newly certified, we'd love to take care of you.
Is there any financial benefit from the risk pool for having these certifications and classes?
I would say from a citizen's perspective and an employee perspective, absolutely. Like what happened here in a, meeting fairly, a few weeks ago, months ago. That does help us on the safety and security side. I haven't known of any incentives
Credits
or
or anything.
grants for doing it. It's just something that's going to keep your buildings and your citizens safe and the public safe too. So yeah. Our new learning management system, LMS, is Vector Solutions. We launched that January of 2026. We now have transitioned our training platform and management of the training to our HR department and partners due to risk management, staffing limitations, and changes. Assignments now have some hard due dates for staff to be aware of and try their best to complete on time or before the due dates. Going forward, our HR partners will update you and the board on Vector and any training assignments with support from risk management. I do have some training updates because I thought you would ask. So recently we were assigned a few modules for training, use of chemical cleaning, bloodborne pathogen, and cybersecurity awareness. And the percentages are in red. Those are where we are kind of missing the ballpark. Training due date was April 30th, and we're only at 82%. Bloodborne pathogen was due at the end of last month. We're at 73%. And right now, we've got one that's due at the end of the month, cyber security awareness, and we're at 44%. So my plea and my ask is that any leader that has anyone reporting to them, if they could just have a conversation with their staff member, allow them some time to get these training modules done. Some of them are a little time consuming. They should be fairly repetitious. Maybe the cybersecurity one is a little newer, but it should be common sense and a lot of knowledge that they've had in the past. And so we want to give them time to get those modules done. Any
I'm sure the
questions?
three of us are all up to date.
I was going to say, if any of you need help, you know where to find me. I can help you through your modules. And that's it for our presentation. Any questions, concerns? Okay, thank you so much, commissioners.
Thanks, Shelley.
Thank you.
Kim?
We can wait if you want.
Yeah, I should have expected that from you after yesterday.
Hello. I don't have a presentation for you, but I do have a lot to talk about.
Mm.
Kim Bocut, Director of the Event Center. I've got my 4 different departments, so I've got some talking points for each one. I'll just kind of go. My first one is Silver Lake Gift Shop. We are ramping up for a busy summer. Spring has been a little bit slow. I think with Johnston Ridge still being closed, gas prices are definitely a factor up there. But the tours we have American Cruise Lines come up 6 days a week. I think the only day that they are not coming is Saturday. So that's been a great boost for
Wow.
us.
Is that the group that come out of Kalama?
Yes. Yep. And these tours are free. I went on their website because I wasn't sure if it's something like an excursion. When you go on a Caribbean cruise, you get to, sign up at the cruise desk and pay your $500 to join the sheeple that go on the cruise or the tours. But this is actually something that they provide, and they provide different ones. There's one that goes to the axe throwing up in Castle Rock. They provide one to Mount St. Helens, and actually for the Kalama tour stop, the picture on the website is of Mount St. Helens. So it kind of leads people naturally to come on that tour. So we see in a tour anywhere from 130 to 160 people on the tour, and that's in 1 hour. They have from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. They come in, they watch a movie, they hear a talk from the ranger or an interpreter, and then they shop, or all of the above, use the restroom. And I believe they move on from us and go up the highway a little further. So we're thankful for that because gas prices are still lingering in the very high range. So, but over Father's Day weekend, Father's Day, we had the highest number of sales for the year so far. So I think summer's here, thankfully. Moving on to Expo, fair and rodeo preparations are underway. July 22nd through the 25th is the fair. The rodeos the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Our exhibitor handbook is live online. One change for the fair this year is that we are bringing back open horses. We tried it out a couple years ago. It failed, not miserably, but it just wasn't as successful as it could be. And so our 4-H horse superintendent has stepped up and said that she would manage an open barn, which means that you don't have to be a 4-H member to bring a horse to the fair. Anybody in the community can sign up and come participate and get premiums. And then our rodeo tickets go on sale June 29th. Concert tickets are already on sale for Clay Walker. If you're a 90s country music fan, it's kind of a big deal to have Clay Walker here. So that's exciting. I think this will be one of our best concerts that we've had in a really long time. We partner with Cook and Country on that. They foot the bill for the artist. we see the rewards in parking revenues, food revenues, beer garden sales. So when their concert is successful, we're all successful. So really looking forward to this concert this year. And talking to the owner of the station, he said this is the fastest selling concert that he's had in his tenure there. So
And is that on the 22nd?
that is Wednesday, the 22nd. Mhm. Non-fair things, you guys just approved the Second Amendment to the Gibbs and Olson contract for the RV park upgrade. The text amendment to the City of Longview zoning to allow access to Peardale Avenue for fair and special events. Currently, it just says for fair only, which is very limiting to be able to use that access. So to change it to special events also because that RV park is used for special events. So it'll ensure access all year round. So that will go to the City Council in July. Then we're working with Gibbs and Olson on that next, on the first phase of the construction. They have estimated it to cost about $797,000. Some of that is already, some of those anticipated costs were already in the contract that we just did an amendment to. So that is moving forward, as I mentioned, at my meeting with you guys yesterday. We talked a little bit about that. So just to give that little longer update. We do have some grant-funded projects that are moving forward. The beef barn, we had an upgrade scheduled for that, or excuse me, we got grant funding for the beef barn upgrades. That has already started. They've started ripping out the old posts that are like 50 years old that they tie the cows to, and we'll be putting big 12 by 12 posts with steel panels so that they can tie the cows and nobody pulls back and gets away. So that has started. That will be done before the fair. Our grant-funded indoor arena restroom renovation project is also scheduled to be done in July. I've been working with maintenance. We're ordering some new stall dividers. Currently, those bathrooms are gross. I'll just say it. They're gross. If you've ever used it, you probably can still smell it. So hopefully we'll be able to alleviate that a little bit. It's just bare concrete floor, so putting some epoxy on the floor so things can be cleaned up a little bit easier. They're currently single-use restrooms. We're hoping to bring those stall dividers in, so we'll have two places in each restroom. So that we're working with our local high school equestrian team is helping us with that. We're purchasing the materials. Maintenance is helping us with the installation of the toilets and the sinks and whatnot. But the high school equestrian team has agreed that they will come in and help us kind of do the demolition, clean it, repaint, and then our county maintenance will come in and assist with the installation of the things that we need help with. Let's see. And then our grant-funded project, the Rural Economic Development Fund grant-funded project of the broken roll-up doors is moving ahead as well. Hoping to have that done before fair, but because of parts, I'm not 100% sure on that. So that is moving forward though. And then a couple of challenges that I just wanted to bring up. Storage is always a challenge at the event center. I don't have answers for these. I'm just bringing them because it's always a challenge. We have a lot of outdoor storage because we have a lot of property. We just don't have any covered storage. So like our poultry barn that's the poultry barn during the fair, that becomes our storage for our equipment in the off season. We can't rent it. The oil leaks, from the different equipment and it's not secure. We've had it broken into multiple times. We've replaced multiple weed eaters and blowers and gas cans. Somebody's four-wheeler got stolen out of there, one of our renters. So storage is just
Storing there, like weed eaters, mowers, that type of thing, smaller thing.
Yeah, so we've taken, because
Do
it's
they
a more
have
central
space for it?
location. What's that?
Is there room over at juvenile? But
So the nice
For the
thing,
weed eaters and stuff?
right, so we've moved all the small tools since we had
Oh,
it
yeah?
broken into,
Okay.
we moved them into the back of our agriculture building. We do have a small storage area back there. The nice thing about the poultry barn is its central location, because we have 48 acres and our staff is going and going. We just recently surplused our gator because it blew up. We had a 6-wheeled gator. We do have a truck that was given to us by Public Works, which is awesome, but it's a huge truck, which is great for dump runs and, but just like the little running around. So we're looking at seeing how we could potentially purchase, we were looking at a golf cart, but I was thinking either a small truck or like a Daihatsu, one of those little that are roadworthy, but they have a cab and they have a dump bed on them. So that's something that we've kind of talked about. That would make the storage solution a little less painful for us. But so right now we do have a way to store those small tools, but we just don't have like a workshop. It's and we never have. I think there was some older buildings that used to be Public Works buildings that are on the northeast corner across the street from the coroner's office. But those aren't, they're old wooden buildings that aren't very secure. So and then the Pigeon building across the street, and I'm surprised, actually, you probably do get calls about it. You just have given up calling me about it. But the building across the street that used to, the Civil Air Patrol actually used to have that building, and I don't know if it was gifted to the county, I'm not sure, but we use that for storage. It's chock full of displays for the fair. So all the old cabinets and stuff, just, it's like a Jenga game over there. It's falling apart. It's the building. I sent pictures to maintenance and just said, I'm open to ideas. What can we do? So if you do get calls, I am aware. However, I don't have any solutions. So just those are two things. That is another storage area too, though. So tearing it down would be, one, costly, and two, I would lose that much more storage. So that's what that building is for. It is ugly, and unfortunately, it's not within the gated part of our compound, so it is very much a public eyesore as they drive by on 7th Avenue, unfortunately. When people ask if the county owns it, I say no. Just kidding. Before I move on, is there any questions on Expo, campground, anything like that?
How big is that pigeon building? Any idea?
And what?
That's a good
That Pigeon
question.
building.
I would guess it's probably maybe 4,000 or 5,000 square feet.
Oh, so it's pretty good size.
It's pretty decent. And so we call it the Pigeon Building because there is a pigeon racing club that meets there. There's a little office that's off to the east side of that, closest to our fence line. And they do meet there with their racing pigeons. This club also, they have some, we have a strange little account that's attached to the expo, which is money that, I don't know if it was a donation they received, but there's money, a little bit of money. So when the trees needed to be cut down, they were growing up over the building, they paid for that out of that fund. I remember calling over to finance and asking how we had spent money, because there's no budget lines in that. And they were like, what is that for? So I'm not exactly sure of what the RCW is, but they have a little bit of money in there because they do meet there. So it is utilized as just really kind of an eyesore. The conference center, our staff is working with Watson Creative. It's similar to Fine that we're working with on the tourism side of things. Watson Creative is doing a marketing analysis and revamp of our marketing with a scheduled completion date of September. So they're currently looking at what we're doing, and then they're going to come back to us, I think it's next week, with a feedback session of here's what you're doing well, not so well, here's what you can improve, and then the next steps are helping us to improve. So I'm kind of excited about that. That's never been done. There's never been a real solid marketing plan for the conference center since it was built. I don't want to say it was build it and they will come, but it was maybe a step above that. So this is the first real marketing plan that we've had. So
Is that all run through PFD?
yes. So actually we'll be paying for that out of our budget, but PFD is reimbursing us. So and then on the renovation of the event center, they're going to be starting, it sounds tentatively like February of 2027. However, the roof is failing in many places. We've spent, I don't even want to add up the bills from WeatherGuard on the roof. So they'll be doing a full roof replacement. They're just signing an amendment to their agreement with Kirby Nagelhout to do early work. And so that'll start right after the fair. And they're expecting that to be 2 months of a project. So,
Replace that.
yep. They've identified there's some areas that have significantly failed, which we know because we hang the bucket, or we put the buckets underneath the leaks. Thankfully, they're not in public facing spaces. However, there's just some parts of the roof that they call them crickets. I'm not a contractor, but they didn't cricket the roof correctly, so that basically the flat roofs don't drain properly. So there's drains, there's roof drains, they just aren't, water's not going there appropriately. So that, like I said, that'll start right after the fair. So we've been looking at just making sure that they're not working in areas that we have events. So that's all for the conference center. And lastly, tourism. The rollout of our new campaign is on target for the third quarter. The feedback of the work that Fine has done so far has been very positive. I think it was definitely a much demanded move, I would say. Maybe that's a little bit strong term, but I think the focus of Cowlitz County Tourism has been on Mount St. Helens since its inception in 1996. And I think that was a really great move at that time. We built a visitor center with Hofstad Bluffs up there. They formed this regional tourism organization, and I think, you know, it's a nationally or internationally recognized asset that we have, but it is only one asset. And as we've seen in the last couple of years with Johnston Ridge being closed, people hear that it's closed. Why else would you go to Cowlitz County? We all know that there's reasons for people to come to Cowlitz County, but we need to share those. So that's really bringing Fine on board and really focusing on Mount St. Helens as an asset, but also what do people, when we bring them in from New Jersey, okay, we've done the marketing, great. So now they're here and Johnston Ridge is closed. So what do we do with them? And so this is just kind of it's going to be a lot of time moving forward to really roll this out. It's new branding, but also implementing all that branding. Talking of the kayak launch, that's been a huge focus. I mean, we're known for our outdoor recreation because it's beautiful here, but people don't know how to recreate when they get here. Our locals do, and locals don't want to share it. And a lot of the access points are on private property. So opening up or refining some of the public access points. It's been really eye-opening just to look at our area from an outside lens as this company came in and said, kayaking is huge, but where can you really go? I mean, there's a few limited places. There's Horseshoe Lake. There's some other, there's definitely some places, but there's also some places that are just little diamonds in the rough and showcasing that. So this has been a really great process with them.
The little bit I've seen, I felt like they didn't forget about St. Helens, but like marketing stuff that's unique to Clamor or Woodland, they've done a good job of differentiating the cities and what's special about them.
Yeah, and people come because it's Mount St. Helens, but when they're here, they have to eat and they have to, recreate in other ways because there's only so much time you can spend at a visitor center. So what else can we do? What other information can we put in their hands? And that's something that, so if you're traveling with kids, there'll be, when the website, which is my next topic, when the website rolls out, there's going to be that information and also how to get that information to people. So we just recently put QR code little coasters in local hotels that just has a QR code. Looking for something to do, you click on that and it brings it up. We're looking at the different sports venues around the area to say, whether we make something to put on the concession stand or just in the interim as we're getting the website built out, but just like, hey, we're glad you're here. Click here for things to do. And over time, that website's going to have more focused things. So, oh, you like, parks. Here's all of the county parks and here's how to get there. And here's the things you can find there. Or you like to kayak or hike or, so those, and then off-season things too. We're trying to come up with those off-season routes and then kind of having corridors or zones. So when you're up in Castle Rock, because the mountain has drawn you here, but there's all these beautiful things to do or fun things to do in Longview, Kelso. So let's bring you there. And oh, and once you get there, let's take you down to Kalama and down to Woodland. So just it's a more comprehensive plan for people once they get here. And then the next step is the website, which you guys, thank you, signed that contract to move forward on that. And that's that piece that will take probably about six to 8 months to build. I do want to thank Mac and Calvin in IT. They really helped work through all the website details to ensure that we are getting a website that's safe for the county, that's safe for our users, and working with Fine. And not that Fine wouldn't have done most of those things, but they really helped to put that in writing and make sure that our contract was solid. And so thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I kind of sent them a panicked email and they said, we've got you. And I think a week, maybe week and a half later, they did. And so it
You
was,
wouldn't send a panic email.
what's that? It wasn't a panicked email. It was like a, hey, this is not my jam. I don't know this lingo. Please help. And they said, we've got this. And I said, thank you. So you might as well tell me in Japanese what a lot of that
Yeah.
is. So we're currently geofencing the World Cup games in Seattle with just a little thing as people are getting on their phone. And we also advertise in the USA Today, but you know, gone are the days, well, for a lot of people that we don't sit down and open the USA Today, but it is in there.
So you're kind of tracking how many are coming through our county headed to there? Is that what you're doing?
So what we did was we geofenced the stadium as well as some local hangouts around the
Oh.
stadium. So as people are getting to a game, they get there early and they, you know, go to the fan zone and they get
Oh,
on
I
their
see.
phone
And
and
when they leave
they-
and travel, you can send them something from our county. Okay.
we stalk
gotcha.
them
Right.
and we say, please come to Mount St. Helens. It's just a short drive to experience Washington in a different format other than downtown Seattle. So
Interesting.
we're stalking people on their phones right now for that.
Does
So
it track results for you?
it does. So it picks up how many people are seeing the ads, and then if they follow through, we'll get that it'll take probably about a month, but we'll be able to see if it worked. And it doesn't stop tracking. So even if they got the ad in Seattle, but they don't visit Mount St. Helens, say for 3 weeks, it'll
Still.
it'll
Is
give
that the
us-
same programs the port uses, the Port of Kalama, for people when they come to the port?
No, the Port of Kalama, they don't use it anymore because of the expense of it, but they were using Placer AI. And that tracks people as they come to your area, so they can kind of look at any point, like who was there, and they can come up with reports, which were awesome for their grants that they got funded. They were able to provide us reports. Placer AI is not credit card based, it's phone based.
Yeah.
So we looked at doing it countywide, actually. But because so many parts of our county you don't have cell phone service, it didn't seem like it was a great thing countywide. We have looked at other products. There's some that actually just track credit card spending. And with that data, you get demographics, I don't think you get what they ate for breakfast yesterday, but darn close.
When I looked at it at the port, it felt kind of intrusive, honestly, the way that it works. But Mark was saying they can advertise to your phone and they know if that advertisement worked because you're at the place that they wanted you to go to.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. So geofencing is a little less creepy, but still kind of. It's actually, yeah, so it is legal in Washington, so we're not doing anything illegal, but they have looked at like outlawing in other areas. But we started doing this a couple years ago. I had gone to, I think, Hawaii, and as soon as I opened up social media, it was like, scuba dive with us, snorkel with us. And I'm like, what in the heck? How do they know that I'm here? So then as I started kind of researching, I was like, oh, this thing called geofencing. And lo and behold, we have a company in town that helps with that. So we started doing that. And so for tourism, we went ahead and did the World Cup, because why not? And that's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
Sounds like a great tool.
Yeah, I mean,
Another-
I'd be interesting to hear results on that.
Another reason for me to hate my smartphone.
Yeah, I know it, right? They don't need to know how much time I spend in a motorcycle shop.
If you don't
They
get
can- they
motorcycle
can-
ads,
They can
then-
go down to that level, though. I mean,
Yes,
it's
they
pretty-
can. Yeah.
Yeah,
They know where you were before you came here. They know, they can tell you where, and so then you can look at spending habits and travel habits.
and whether or not you receive that marketing, and if you're there without it, I mean, it's like,
Ugh.
everything we thought about our phones is true. They're invasive buggers.
Yep,
They are.
yep.
Fix it, Mac.
Put the tinfoil hats back on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we're just learning how it works and what it does. Yeah.
Back in the day when they said, your TV can listen to you, so you need to wear this tinfoil hat. That
Yeah.
Might have been right.
Mhm.
Thank you, Kim.
Yep, thank you, guys.
Phone in a
Thank
little
you.
bag so you can't see it.
Yeah, exactly. They do make those, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, IT.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, Mac McCoy, Director of IT. So today, for my updates, we're going to be talking about our mission and vision, our strategic goals, our accomplishments, our short and long-term goals, and our risk. So me and Mike, we got together and we decided that we needed to establish a mission and vision. And this is our mission and vision in front of you here. And really, this is about reliable service and building trust with our departments and the constituents of Cowlitz County. On the next slide here, on our strategic goals, these are our 5 core strategic goals. These 5 core strategic goals, they make up the foundation of how we build operational excellence and lower risk. And also, these 5 priorities: infrastructure, cybersecurity, innovation, customer experience, and team culture, sets the tone for our success or failure. I'm not sure if there are any questions about our strategic goals.
Do you have, is it these things the whole team takes hold of, or do you have, say, 2 or 3 that say, hey, we want you to work on cybersecurity and come back to us with that, or
No, these are combined strategic goals.
so the whole team?
Yes, it's for
Who's
the
that?
entire team.
Okay.
And really, this is required because if you take, for instance, like infrastructure, we have to be able to have sustained services and uptime at all times, and that's required for all the staff.
How do you feel you're doing if you go back one to your vision and to your mission? How do you feel you're doing on accomplishing that so far?
I think we're doing great on that because we're really trying to align with the time-honored tradition of what goes on here at the county in terms of being able to help the departments provide great customer service and do all the things we need to do to ensure that they can do their job to help the county. So yes.
I'm not saying it's vague, but what metric are you using to determine that?
Well, so since we just established it, we were working on a baseline to create create that. So the next slide here is talking about our key accomplishments. Before I actually talk about that, I want to take the time to thank the team for all the work that they do, the IT team. Over the last 6 months, I think everybody on the team has stepped up and really kind of put their hearts into the work that they do. And so I'm grateful for that, and I know Mike is as well. So starting off here, the first goal is the data backups. We knew that we needed to make the data backups our number one priority coming into this year. We knew that that was an area that was basically talked about in the state audit, and it was one of the areas that we've definitely improved on, and I'm glad to share with you that we do have sustainable backups here at HOJ, well, here at the admin building and HOJ. And so that phase of that is really, we got 3 phases. One is to have multiple copies at different locations, and also to have backups offsite. So we're still working that. So number 2 here is implemented a security information event management system, and AKA SIM. That's what that means. What that is a data aggregator that pulls data from multiple sources to allow us to assess the threat. We were in a position where we're not able to rapidly do that, and now we're putting ourselves in a position to be able to do that. So that way we can handle events real time.
Does it assess the threat or does it resolve the threat?
It doesn't resolve the threat. It just assesses the threat. Yeah, it's just an event management system. And the reason why this is important is because if you don't have something like this, then you have to actually manually go to each one of these systems to pull the data. This particular system, the SIM, it actually does that. Instead of spending 30 minutes pulling the information, it does it over a time of 5 to 10 minutes, like something like that. Just kind of give you an idea. That's kind of a high level. Number 3, we launched a customer service delivery program, and I'm gonna give credit to Mike on that. That was an excellent move on his part to do that. And what that is where we go to each of the, we meet with the departments each week. We have the techs meet with them each week and talk about their tickets, what we can resolve. And this has turned out to be one of the greatest things that has happened so far. So thank you, Mike, for that. Number 4 here, we established a professional standards guide. And the reason why we established that is because we wanted to make sure that all the staff had the same expectations across the board. Just wanted to make sure that they knew that, and they would go out and be professional with the customers. And a lot of things that, that's missing in the day-to-day that we always never cover, well, we have an established guide for that. So staff know where to go to if they have questions about what the expectations are.
So you're not talking about policy, you're talking about standards that you guys created for
Yeah,
your.
yes, it's standards. So number 5 is enhanced server and workstation security. So one of the things that we were tagged on the state audit was not our security for servers and workstations were not up to par. They are now. We've put the implementation in place to actually create a system. It's called VSA, Kaseya. And what Kaseya does, it actually sends out the updates and take care of the vulnerabilities. And so we're talking about Microsoft patches. That's kind of what that is. Number 6, annual cybersecurity awareness. One of the things that we put into place is to have this awareness training added to the LMS system. That was something that we did, I think, 3 weeks ago. And so, what I basically asked Maddie to do was to put it in there and make it an annual requirement for staff. So, and just to remind everybody, it is June 30th. So, there's a lot of people that need to get that done.
Some of those scams are getting pretty good online.
And of course, y'all know on number 7, we launched the artificial intelligence governance risk management framework, working through that, meeting with various vendors to talk about the AI guardrails and things of that nature. I'm also going to be implementing a 5-phase approach for the NIST AI Risk Management Framework, which is going to be required according to the state standards in terms of the policy Data 04, working to get that in place. It is a heavy lift to get that in place because there's a lot of things you have to get done to make sure that the framework is in place. But once you get it in place, it'll be good for the county for sure.
Is that the one that you came in and talked to us about before that said we were behind and weren't gonna meet the requirement, and we are now?
We are going to meet it, but no, that was the web accessibility.
Okay,
Yeah,
so this is different.
this is different.
We will be able to meet whatever this deadline is.
Well, it's not, so the deadline is really October. What it is that WATEC and the legislation has decided that they want to make NIST AI framework, NIST AI risk management framework, the de facto framework for AI risk management. And so July 1st is the actual date that it's going to be official, but the actual implementation mandate is in October of this year. Number 8 is we secured grant funding for the network segmentation in accordance with Senate Bill 2014. And of course, I want to thank Carolyn for being instrumental in her help and helping us out with that. Thank you, Carolyn. Okay, so moving on to our short-term goals. So starting off with PeopleSoft resource planning, I'm working with various departments to try to kind of come up with a contingency plan to take care of that in terms of Denise retiring. You know, she retired, so we're working through that. I'm negotiating with the vendors on what that looks like, going back and forth. There's nothing in stone there, but we're working on that. And the Microsoft Cloud enablement, well, before I go to that, are there any questions about the PeopleSoft resource planning?
Do we have somebody to help us if we get into a pinch with that, with PeopleSoft?
Well, we're leaning heavily on the vendor that we have in place right now to help us. They've been kind of instrumental in the last 30, 45 days in that way. And deliberately, intentionally, we were trying to back off some of the things that Denise were doing and move them over to the vendor, so that way that would offset it, as much as possible. But that it's just not going to be a clear path there to just use the vendor. There's going to be some more conversations about that once I understand exactly where the vendor's excuse me, is going. Excuse me. The Microsoft Cloud enablement. So with that one, we had the vendor come in and do an assessment on our assets to determine what we could have as good candidates for the cloud in terms of servers and applications. They did that. They've given us those preliminary numbers. The next step in that is to meet with them and talk about what would that cost to actually move to the cloud. So that's coming next week. I'll have some numbers behind that come next week. I've already talked about the AI governance process building and SharePoint migration planning. So we have to start doing some planning around that because our current version of SharePoint expires next month, actually, July 14th.
What is SharePoint?
SharePoint is a collaboration tool, is what it is. You know, you have like, it's a communications and collaboration tool. You can do like, you can upload documents, you can have a document library. You can have, you can do data exports and things of that nature. You can do meetings through SharePoint, but that's the old version of SharePoint. The new SharePoint is SharePoint Online, which is part of the Microsoft 365 tenant. And data backups, I talked about that one already, but again, that one was very important for us. Again, the goal there, the reason why you see it there is because we want to be able to say that we're going to be moving into phase 3 and completely be done with phase 1 and 2. That's what that's for. The cybersecurity roadmap, I'm working with our current vendor, TechEds, to come up with a cybersecurity roadmap. And one of my objectives with that is to ensure that we can meet all those discrepancies, kind of clear out all those discrepancies and shortcomings that were on the state audit. So that's what that roadmap is about. And it's also about building our maturity for cybersecurity as well. Microsoft 365 tenant renewal. So the situation with the Microsoft tenant renewal, let me take a step back. I got to go back to Teams because I skipped that one. Let me go back to Teams real quick. So on the Microsoft Teams deployment, I need to explain what that really is. And then that's for anybody that's listening. So most of the clients here are on the classic version of Teams. So we have to deploy the new version of Teams, which Microsoft put out, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago. We have to deploy that one. And in conjunction with that, we plan to put Teams chat out there. Now, one of the things we had to do was do some due diligence on whether or not we needed the government tier version 3 or government tier version 5 for the Microsoft 365 tenant. And based on that, based on our due diligence with public records and their requirements for search, we have to go with the G5 version. So we'll see if I can find another avenue to that, because the cost there is a little bit, it's really significant from G3 to G5. And let's see here. PeopleSoft renewal, that's going to happen in September. That's coming up. And the server refresh planning, that's basically tied back into the Microsoft Cloud enablement. We got to determine whether we're going to go with hardware or we're going to go to the cloud. So that's what that's about. One of the things I want to mention about the server refresh plan is that current systems are, they're 6 years old. They're way past their life cycle for being, what we would call in a good place. But everything there is working. We just need to take care of getting off of these old systems. I mean, we're really behind there. So normally you would have a life cycle for servers to be 3 to 5 years. And I really want to get away from the hardware in terms of the CapEx and move over to the cloud for OpEx.
Is there a money savings to go from hardware to the cloud?
There is. It's not in the first year, but in the third and second year, it is. There's a savings there. And the other thing about going to the cloud is that you have speed and scale, right? You can't do speed and scale when you have hardware. And the volatility of the cost of hardware these days is through the roof.
Yeah.
I mean, the quotes that I've gotten for hardware are in the 7-figure range. So that's, yeah.
And did you say how many of our servers you said they're in a good place, which I kind of felt like you were not dancing around that, but not, how many?
Well, when I say in a good place, I mean, they're not like failing or anything like that. So we're not like panicking about them failing, but when you talk about when you get past 6 years, then you're talking about having warranty issues. So we have to move on that, right? And I couldn't move on that until I started until I got quotes, until I started working with the vendors to figure out what that is. I didn't want to get in front of the 3 commissioners with a 7-figure when I can continue to do due diligence and find ways to take care of that, and being fiscally responsible. So,
Are we currently out of warranty on our servers?
on our hypervisors, yes, they're out of warranty. They're out of warranty since last year, right, Mike? Yeah, there.
How many of them are?
It's I think about all of them. So a number would be, if I'm giving you a number, let's say 90 servers.
They're all out of warranty?
They're all out of warranty.
What happens if like one goes out?
We'd have to replace it. We'd have to buy a license to get like a virtual server. That's what we'd have to do to replace it. Because these servers, are let me make this clear. So these servers we're talking about, they're not each physical servers. They're on what they call a hypervisor, which has have virtual servers. The hypervisor has virtual servers on it. So just to make that clear. I don't know if that might not be a good explanation, but it's really not a physical server each. That's not what it is. But the cost to go to physical hardware is what's paused my ability to move forward with this, because my plan was to jump on it and get it going back in January. But because I didn't have the quotes, see, in order to get the quotes, you have to actually have a vendor do what they call capacity planning. And capacity planning is really sizing your servers to figure out how much RAM it needs, how much CPU it needs, how, yeah, those kinds of things. And then what they're doing is really trying to tell you you're overusing resources on this server, or you're underutilizing that server. So that's what that list is. That's what that's about. And
If
so
we
the
have to replace those servers, they have to be replaced one for one, or this technology stepped up where we could get by with less than the 90?
you can, and I would never go fully to the cloud anyways. I'd have to do a hybrid process, a hybrid cloud. And the reason why is because you don't want to put your most critical and most you don't want to put your most important stuff out in the cloud. That's just not a good thing to do. But you want to have a hybrid process where you put the things that you can out there. I don't know if that answers your question.
Close enough.
Are any of these servers, like if some of them do go down, is it gonna be cost prohibitive if we're looking at transitioning to the cloud to have to replace those? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of the same question that he's asking is, if some of them go down, do we have to replace those right now? Or can we wait and have the cost to replace those going towards us transferring to the cloud?
No, we could replace those. It's a license issue. But I think because we have all of them out of warranty, we need to move on a platform for all the servers and not choose one here, one there. That's just not sustainable to do it that way. And quite frankly, if you have a critical system that goes down, of course you'd have to buy a license to get it up and running, or move it to a different virtual server that's unlicensed, and then get a license. So that.
Mac, on that happy note, have you followed what's going on in Chelan County?
In Chelan, no, I
Chelan?
have, no.
I read their weekly update thing that I got on their list, and this morning, after 3 weeks, they're just now getting part of their systems back from, I can't remember if it was ransomware or malware that got them, but their county's been down.
Oh, you talking
Almost
about
the whole thing
Chelan?
for
Yeah,
3
yeah.
weeks.
I knew about that. Sorry about that. Yes, I did know about that. And immediately that weekend, I was reaching out to my team to make sure we were covered. We wasn't being hit by that as well. So I was definitely on top of that. And
Wasn't that through somebody, through their email that they answered it and it got through?
yeah, yeah, and it was. And so our particular email system, Barracuda, actually caught that stuff. And so we were good to go on that. And that's not the first time that Barracuda has caught something. There was another county that was facing the same issue, but Barracuda caught those. And then we've been doing remediation on a lot of those things to make sure that we are not caught up into that. And that's why it's so important to have backups too, because if you don't have backups and it's not immutable, then you put yourself in a position where you do have somebody that want to do ransomware and they steal your data, and you're screwed pretty much. And so. So moving on to the next slide here. This is kind of a moving target here with the IT 5-year roadmap. But these are the things that me and Mike identified as things that would go on our 5-year roadmap. And of course, you see server refresh, And that pre-production environment is basically a copy of the actual production. And the reason why we would want to have that is so we can do regression testing on systems and also allow us to expand that out and supply a sandbox for the department so they can have a sandbox to do their own testing or piloting of applications. You see data backups, we talked about that. The SQL replacement, that one's almost done. And that one was we had to do that one because of the upgrade for PeopleSoft. The older version of SQL was incompatible with the newer version of PeopleSoft. That's my understanding. Is that correct, Mike? Okay, so we have the elections network segmentation on there, desktop deployment, and you see that as tentative because we haven't established a date. We haven't put in the order for that. PeopleSoft migration plan, I put that out in 2027 to 2029 until we determine exactly what that looks like in terms of a platform for the replacement of PeopleSoft, whether it's going to the cloud, Oracle Fusion, or something else. We just have to, that's a moving target. SharePoint migration is there. Disaster recovery planning, this is a big one. And one of the things that's going to be on that cybersecurity roadmap. And the reason why it's a big one because we have to be able to establish how we're going to do disaster recovery for the county, right? There's a lot of the staff that haven't been through these exercises, these tabletop exercises to understand what that would look like, what happens with the first responders, what their role is in all this. And so those things have to happen.
Mac, I know the risk pool is really big on cybersecurity stuff. Are they working with you with resources and stuff, making those things available to us?
Oh, yeah. I've been working with Shelley and on these different things with risk pool. So yes, as a matter of fact, she sent me a few things that they've been inquiring about, and I've been providing them information. So we've been going back and forth with a lot of this stuff. So you see the incident management. So incident management is one of the things that we got pinged on for the state audit. And so we have a draft of an incident management plan right now. It needs to be tightened up a little bit, but we do have one now. So that's one that's been remediated off the state auditors list. Cybersecurity framework ISO 27001. That's basically a framework that's similar to the NIST, but this one is for cybersecurity. I think it's necessary to put a framework in place so that way we're all functioning from the same playbook in terms of how we establish a bona fide cybersecurity program. Web accessibility, we've addressed that with the commissioners already. So we're working on that. And one of the things that we've done since we've had a conversation about that is actually put the training into the LMS. So for the departments, so that way they'll know what to do in terms of getting up to the standards for web accessibility. AI and data governance, of course, that's one of the things I've already talked about. We're still working on that. That one I'm looking forward to. And it's going to be good. That one's going to be good. It's going to be pretty solid. In terms of key risk, so the one key risk we talked about was the PeopleSoft resource sustainment, right? So that's the one thing we have to work on. And I'll let, I guess, Zach talk about FSLA. I don't know if they're up to speak on this or not, but so, and data backups and web accessibility. Those are the four risks that I've identified for the IT department. And I think that's it. That's it for me. Questions?
Looks like you're gonna have a busy 2027 based on that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a heavy lift.
Thank you.
Good.
Okay, So that would be next executive session. Remind me what it was. Collective bargaining? Did you have a time frame, Carolyn? 10 minutes, okay.
Thanks for
Mac,
that.
thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks.
No,
That was good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We'll go to collective, executive session, collective bargaining, 10 minutes.
board is extending the executive session for a period of 5 minutes until 3:21 p.m.
Session, no decision rendered. Anything else?
I got one thing.
Yeah,
Chairman, I was asked if the board would be interested in supporting the United Way Day of Caring. I guess the county used to do that before. And if it was something that we could get involved in again, I don't know anything about it, but I said I would bring it up at today's meeting if you guys know anything about it.
Okay, what is it?
I guess it's United Way comes up with projects throughout the county,
Yeah.
and the county gets involved and goes and helps the employees. We would go help and get involved. I don't know.
we let employees volunteer to, I think, one year we helped at Fiber, we helped clean up a yard. Another year we did different things.
Okay,
So I don't know if we're opposed to it or not. If we're, no,
Not opposed to it.
I will.
I don't know how it all works with the unions and all that. I'd leave that.
Well, I'll go back to the person and say, you're gonna have to spearhead this. We're good with it. You take over and go
Yeah.
from there.
Works for me.
All right.
Anything else? Okay, thanks. We will adjourn.